Unicorns. Upon a golden morning in the Pride Lands, when the sun stretched like a warm smile across the grass, a young lion king named Leo stood on Pride Rock feeling something heavy and hopeful in his heart. He was brave and he was kind, but today he felt a promise tugging at him. A promise he had made long ago when he was just a cub and the world felt bigger than his paws. The wind brushed his mane as if reminding him that promises mattered, especially the ones made two little hearts. Below the rock, animals gathered as they always did, but today Leo saw worry in their eyes. The river was low, the birds were restless, and the youngest animals whispered fears they did not yet understand. Leo took a deep breath and remembered the promise he had made to protect not just the land, but the feelings of everyone who called it home. He stepped forward and spoke softly so even the smallest ears could hear, telling them that no matter how big or small they were, the Pride Lands belonged to them together. His voice was calm, and with each word, the animals felt a little safer. Sir. Day unfolded. Leo walked among them, listening to stories, helping a shy zebra find her way back to her herd, guiding playful cubs away from danger, and reminding everyone that courage could be gentle. When the sun climbed higher, Leo met a tiny mouse named Milo, who trembled near the tall grass. Milo admitted he was scared of the dry river and afraid that the king might forget someone so small. Leo knelt down and smiled, making a big promise in a quiet voice, promising that he would always listen, always care, and always protect, no matter the size of the voice calling for help. Milo's eyes shone like stars, and word of the king's promise spread like warmth through the land. By evening, the animals gathered again, hearts lighter, believing that promises could be as strong as roars. Leo looked out at the sunset and felt proud, knowing this was only the beginning of keeping his big promise to little hearts. Night wrapped the Pride Lands in soft blue shadows, and Leo rested beneath the stars, thinking about what it truly meant to be a king. He dreamed of the future, where kindness guided strength and promises guided action. When morning came, the land awoke to new challenges. A storm brewed beyond the hills, and clouds rolled in, heavy with rain and thunder. Some animals panicked, remembering past storms that had flooded burrows and scattered families. Leo remembered his promise and stood tall, not to command with fear, but to guide with hope. He organized the animals gently, asking the birds to scout safe paths, the elephants to help move fallen trees, and the small animals to stay close, where they would be protected. Milo the mouse ran between groups, sharing messages and spreading calm, proud to be part of something bigger. As the storm arrived, rain poured and wind howled, but the Pride Lands moved together like one heartbeat. Leo stayed awake through the night, checking on everyone, offering comfort with a soft nudge or a reassuring look. When the storm finally passed, the land sparkled with fresh rain, and laughter replaced fear. The animals realized that the king's promise was not just words, but actions woven into every choice he made. Children laughed as they splashed in puddles, elders smiled at the strength of unity, and Leo felt his heart grow fuller. He gathered everyone and reminded them that promises worked best when everyone helped keep them. The Pride Lands learned that day that even the smallest kindness could protect the biggest dreams, and that a promise made with love could guide an entire kingdom toward hope. As weeks turned into seasons, Leo's promise shaped the Pride Lands in gentle ways. New plants grew by the river as animals worked together to protect the water. Games and songs filled the evenings, teaching the young ones about sharing, bravery, and trust. Milo became a storyteller, reminding everyone how the king listened to a tiny voice and made a big promise. One day, a lost cub wandered far from home, frightened and alone. Remembering the king's words, the animals guided the cub safely back, proving that the promise belonged to all of them now. Leo watched with quiet pride, knowing that leadership meant teaching others to care. At a grand gathering beneath a rainbow after the rain, Leo spoke once more, promising that as long as he was king, kindness would always rule. Little hearts felt big courage, and big hearts felt gentle strength. The Pride Lands glowed with hope, a place where promises were kept and love led the way. Morning arrived softly in the Pride Lands, carrying the smell of wet earth and fresh leaves after the storm. King Leo rose early, watching golden lights spill across the plains. His big promise still echoed inside him, not as a burden, but as a guide. He knew promises were not kept in one brave moment, but in many small choices made every day. As animals began to stir, Leo noticed how they greeted one another differently now, with more patience and care. The promise was already changing the land. Near the river, Milo the mouse was helping younger mice gather seeds safely away from the water's edge. Leo smiled when he saw this, realizing that leadership had begun to grow in places he never expected. Just then, a worried cry cut through the calm. A group of monkeys rushed down from the trees, chattering about smoke rising beyond the hills. Fire was a fear every animal understood. It could destroy homes, food, and safety in moments. Leo felt a tightness in his chest, but he did not panic. He remembered his promise to be steady for little hearts. Ski called the animals together and spoke clearly, not loudly. He asked the birds to fly and see where the smoke came from. He asked the antelopes to guide families toward open ground. He asked the smallest animals to stay close to trusted friends. Everyone had a role, and that made fear shrink. When the birds returned, they reported that lightning had struck dry grass far away, and the fire was moving slowly. There was time to act. Leo led the way, helping create safe paths and clearing brush so the fire could not spread quickly. Milo ran messages tirelessly, proud and focused. Even the youngest cubs helped by staying calm and listening. Hours passed, and thanks to teamwork and careful choices, the fire burnt itself out before reaching the heart of the Pride Lands. When it was over, exhaustion settled over everyone like a heavy blanket. Leo lay down beneath an acacia tree, surrounded by animals resting together. He felt relief, but also something deeper. He realized that his promise was no longer his alone. The kingdom had accepted it as their own. That evening, as the sky turned purple and orange, a young lion cub approached Leo. Her name was Nally, and she asked a simple question that carried great weight. She asked if kings ever felt scared. Leo looked into her wide eyes and answered honestly. He said yes, kings felt scared sometimes, but they chose to act with kindness anyway. Nally smiled, comforted by the truth. Around them, parents hugged their children closer, knowing that courage could be gentle and honest. Days later, the Pride Lands welcomed visitors from a neighboring valley. These animals had heard stories of a king who listened and a land where small voices mattered. They came seeking help because their river had dried and fear had begun to divide them. Some animals wanted to leave, others wanted to fight over what little remained. Leo listened to their story carefully. He did not rush to give advice. Instead, he invited them to stay, to see how the Pride Lands worked together. Over time, the visitors watched how disagreements were handled with patience and how even the smallest animal could speak without fear. One night, under a sky full of stars, Leo sat with the visiting leader, an old buffalo with tired eyes. The buffalo asked how Leo had learned to lead this way. Leo spoke of his promise, of listening to Milo, of choosing kindness even when strength seemed easier. The buffalo nodded slowly, understanding dawning in his gaze. By morning, the visitors returned home, carrying not just food and water, but a new way of thinking. Hope traveled with them. Back in the Pride Lands, life continued with gentle rhythm. Games, work, learning, and rest all blended together. Leo often walked among the animals, listening more than speaking. Sometimes he helped solve problems. Sometimes he simply offered presents. Milo remained by his side, a reminder that big promises often begin with small conversations. Together, they watched a new generation grow, one that believed caring for others was natural, not special. One afternoon, a celebration filled the plains. It marked a year since Leo had spoken his promise aloud. Music echoed, and laughter danced on the wind. Leo stood before the gathering, not above them, but among them. He thanked everyone for helping keep the promise alive. He reminded them that the future belonged to those who protected each other's hearts. Oh, as the sun dipped low, a rainbow formed in the mist, and the animals cheered. Leo felt tears prick his eyes, knowing that the promise he made for little hearts had grown into something powerful and lasting. As night fell, Leo lay beneath the stars once more. He thought of all that had changed and all that still lay ahead. He knew challenges would return, as they always did. But he also knew something unshakable now. As long as the Pridelands listened, cared, and stood together, the promise would never fade. And in that knowledge, King Leo slept peacefully, his heart steady, his kingdom strong. Sun rose gently on the Pridelands, casting long golden paths across the grass, as if inviting every creature to step forward into a new day. King Leo stood quietly on Pride Rock, breathing in the peaceful morning. His big promise had now lived through storms, fire, fear, and hope. But he knew promises were not meant to end. They were meant to grow. Below him, the land stirred with life. Birds sang, cubs chased each other, and elders shared stories beneath shady trees. The Pridelands felt like a living heart, beating strong and kind. Leo walked down from the rock and began his morning rounds, something he did every day now. He greeted the giraffes, stretching toward the sky, nodded to the elephants near the watering hole, and paused to listen to the soft concerns of a hedgehog worried about finding a safe place for her babies. Leo listened carefully and offered help, not with commands, but with understanding. Each small moment mattered, because each one kept his promise alive. Near the tall grass, Milo the mouse waited, his whiskers twitching with excitement. He had news, and Leo could tell it was important. Milo explained that the youngest animals wanted to create something special. A place where stories of kindness and courage could be shared, so no one would ever forget why the Pridelands were different. Leo felt warmth spread through his chest. He loved the idea. Together, they chose a wide tree near the center of the land, its branches strong and welcoming. The animals worked side by side, clearing the area and creating a circle where everyone could gather. It became known as the Heart Tree, a place where voices of all sizes were welcome. The first gathering at the Heart Tree was filled with nervous excitement. Little animals sat close to their parents, unsure if their voices truly mattered. Leo sat on the ground with them, not above them. He invited anyone who wished to speak to come forward. There was a long silence at first, broken only by the wind. Then a tiny bird stepped out and shared how she once felt invisible, but now felt safe flying anywhere in the Pridelands. Applause followed, soft but sincere. One by one, others spoke. Stories of fear turned into stories of bravery. Stories of loneliness turned into stories of friendship. Leo listened, smiling, knowing that this was the promise, becoming something even bigger than he imagined. As time passed, the Heart Tree became a symbol. When disagreements arose, animals gathered there to talk instead of fight. When someone felt afraid, they came to listen. The land felt lighter, as if kindness itself had roots now. But even in the happiest places, challenges still arrive. One afternoon, the ground began to shake. At first it was gentle, then stronger. Rocks rolled, birds scattered, and panic rippled through the plains. An earthquake, rare but dangerous, threatened to split the land. Leo felt fear surge, but he did not let it control him. He remembered every lesson learned since the day of his promise. He called for calm, guiding animals away from cliffs and unstable ground. The elephants used their strength to support fallen trees, while smaller animals guided others through narrow, safe paths. Milo and the birds worked together, carrying messages across the shaking land. The quake eventually faded, leaving cracks in the earth, but no lives lost. Exhausted animals gathered at the heart tree, trembling but alive. Leo spoke softly, reminding them that fear was natural, but unity was stronger. The animals realized that even when the land itself shook, their promise held firm. That night, as they rested together, the Pride Lands felt closer than ever before. Weeks later, a group of young animals approached Leo with bright eyes and brave hearts. They wanted to learn how to protect the land and its promise when they grew older. Leo knew this moment was important. He began teaching them not just how to be strong, but how to be kind. He taught them to listen before acting, to help before judging, and to remember that every creature mattered. Milo helped too, reminding them that courage did not depend on size. The young ones listened carefully, carrying these lessons into their play and their dreams. Seasons changed, painting the Pride Lands with new colors. Flowers bloomed, rains returned, and the land thrived. Visitors continued to arrive, drawn by stories of a kingdom ruled by kindness. Leo welcomed them all, sharing food, wisdom, and hope. The Pride Lands became a place where hearts healed and fear softened. One quiet evening, Leo sat beneath the stars with Milo beside him. The mouse asked if Leo ever worried about the future. Leo thought for a moment before answering. He said the future would always bring challenges, but he trusted the promise now, because it lived in everyone, not just in him. Milo smiled, knowing his role in the story had been small but meaningful. Years passed, and Leo grew older. His mane touched with silver, the Pride Lands remained strong, guided by the values he had helped nurture. At a final grand gathering beneath the heart tree, Leo spoke once more, his voice gentle but steady. He told them that the greatest promise he ever made was teaching others to care for one another. He reminded them that kings might change, but kindness must never fade. As the animals gathered around him, Leo felt peace. He looked at the young leaders rising, the friendships formed across differences, and the land thriving in harmony. His promise had become a living legacy. When Leo finally rested, the Pride Lands continued to shine, guided by listening hearts and gentle courage. Hooray! And so the story of the Lion King's big promise lived on, carried in whispers, songs, and actions. A promise that taught little hearts to be brave, big hearts to be kind, and an entire kingdom to believe that love was the strongest power of all.